debate, but he and his running mate sure seem to have a lot to say about me. I do hope you'll reconsider to meet me on the debate stage. Because as the saying goes, if you've got something to say it to my face.
They're trying to get out of it because she doesn't want to debate. She's not a good debater. She's not a smart person.
Donald Trump casted doubt on whether an agreed-to September 10th debate against Kamala Harris will even happen now. He railed against the host network, ABC, and suggested they were biased against him. Trump also slammed the potential rule change pitched by the Harris campaign to leave candidate mics open.
We agreed to the same rules. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. I'd rather have it probably on, but the agreement was that it would be the same. I think ABC should be shut out. I'd much rather do it on NBC. I'd much rather do it on CBS.
At the now infamous debate from June featuring Trump and Joe Biden, microphones were muted when the candidate wasn't responding to a question.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
It actually went against debate tradition. Harris's team responded to Trump's suggestion that he'd skip the debate, putting out a statement saying in part, "Our understanding is that Trump's handlers prefer the muted microphone because they don't think their candidate can act presidential for 90 minutes on his own."
Okay, so Kamala Harris and Trump are having a debate over whether or not they're going to have a debate, because Trump has proposed multiple dates, multiple locations, multiple networks to debate. Kamala's team, she doesn't want to go on certain networks. She wants to be in friendly, supervised territory. Definitely not Fox News. Definitely not a podcast style debate. So they finally seemingly agreed to September 10th on ABC News, left-wing ABC News. We'll get to that network in a second. But now Kamala's trying to duck because she doesn't want to do it. The reality is Kamala Harris has to minimize her exposure to the public because she's a bad speaker, talks in word salad, talks in riddles, and on top of that, she's a communist. She's always saying something that is extremely off-putting to most American people, like unrealized gains, like seized in patents, stuff like that. So they have to do this debate, but now the Harris campaign is trying to weasel their way out of it by proposing rule changes and making it seem like Trump is the one who doesn't want to do it. So Trump debated Joe and he conceded to Joe. He let Joe make all the rules. Look, I don't want an audience there because I know I get booed off stage. We're going to have muted mics so you can't interrupt me, stuff like that. And Trump said, look, man, I don't give a damn. I'm going to destroy you anyway, which is what he did. So Harris and Trump seemingly agreed on something similar. Now Harris is coming out saying, well, you know what? I want the mics on all of a sudden. She wants chairs. She still doesn't want an audience, but she wants to be able to sit down, maybe because she's a small old lady and Trump is well over 6 feet tall and he'll be towering over her, kind of how he was with Hillary Clinton. But she's coming up with these changes, and the campaign is saying, well, see, Trump won't concede to my new rules, therefore he doesn't want to debate. And that's the story that the media is parroting. They're parroting the Harris campaign. So the most controversial rule change is muted mics. Now, we just saw Trump say, look, man, I don't really care. Like, how you want to do it? Muted mics, unmuted mics, I'm going to destroy you anyway. But the left previously, before he destroyed Joe, the left was saying, we need to mute these mics because Trump's a loudmouth and he's always interrupting people. Do you see how unpresidential and rude he is? Now, all of a sudden, they're saying, no, we need the mics on because Trump is so unpresidential. Which is it? You needed the mics off because Trump is so terrible and always interrupting. Now you need the mics on because you want Trump to interrupt to minimize Harris talking. It's really dumb, this whole thing. Look, if you're running for office, let's just have some debates. Debate as much as possible. They should be debating all through the summer, through the fall, up until November. But of course, certain candidates who run off of media propaganda, they're going to minimize debating. They're going to try to debate as least as possible. That's what Joe's plan was to do, and that's what Harris is trying to do now. Because a debate would benefit Trump more than it benefits Harris. Joe Biden was in his basement, and the left-wing media was propping him up. Everybody thought he was good. Gavin Newsom said, oh, he's giving us a master class in how to be president and how to run the economy. And all these dumbass Democrat voters thought he was so awesome. Oh, he's doing a great job. If anybody was doing a bad job, it was Trump. They were doing that because the media was holding them up. The media was pushing propaganda, and like NPCs, these people were believing it and parroting what the media was saying. But when Biden had to stand on his own 2 feet without a biased media, which I was actually shocked CNN wasn't biased during the debate, he had to stand on his own 2 feet. He got decimated. And that's the same thing that will happen to Kamala Harris if she ever had to stand on her own 2 feet. But the media is running Harris's campaign. The media is letting her duck and dodge, letting her handlers spread lies about her positions on issues, that she's no longer for Medicare for all, that she doesn't want to seize the rights of business, that she had nothing to do with the housing market. The media is running this campaign for Harris. So Harris just has to hide. She has to go down to Sleepy Joe's basement, hide out there until the election while the media props her up and gets millions of votes for her. But she's going to debate and it's going to draw a lot of views and it's going to be pretty entertaining. And some people are optimistic. Some Trump supporters are saying, well, this is great because Trump is going to annihilate her. And I don't think so. I don't think it's going to go down the same way it went with Joe. And I'm going to get to it in a second. But first, let's look at Trump talking about ABC News, these rule changes. ABC extremely biased and he doesn't trust them. They're probably giving Kamala the questions ahead of time, just like Donald Brazil did with Hillary Clinton back in the day. So let's take a look at Trump saying, look, I don't really want to debate her on ABC News, these biased sons of bitches, but maybe.
Say it.
Well, do you still plan to participate in the ABC debate?
Well, I watched this weekend, and it's the worst of all networks. George Slopadopoulos and all of the different people. And the worst. And they had this Jonathan Karl, who's a lightweight, and he was asking questions of Tom Cotton, who was fantastic, by the way. Only a total pro could have gotten through that interview. And I watched that group talk to Biden about vanilla ice cream, and then I watched the way they went after Tom Cotton, and Tom Cotton handled it like easy. But when you see the level of hatred in that room, and when you see Jonathan Karl, who's terrible, I mean, he's just terrible. He's just an average person. But they tell him what to do. And then when you look at the roundtable they had, which was Donna Brazil, wasn't she the one that gave Hillary Clinton the questions when she was at CNN? Maybe, is that right? And when I look at that, and I looked at, there was some other, a blonde woman, I have no idea who she was. The level of hostility was incredible. And Reince was in there, but he was a little bit softer than he should be, to be honest with you. But when I looked at the hostility of that, I said, why am I doing it? Let's do it with another network. I want to do it. I won because of debates. Ask Biden. I won because of debates. I want to do debates. But she, the head of ABC, is her comrade's best friend. You know that, right? They're like husbands and the whole thing. What kind of a deal is that? I want to have a fair debate.
And we got the most left-wing radical network, MSNBC. They're already trying to push the propaganda. Oh, Trump is ducking. Trump is scared because he's trash.
There's a lot of debate around the next presidential debate on September 10th, the first between Donald Trump and VP Kamala Harris. Harris wants the rules changed to keep the mics hot for the duration of the debate. And though Trump says the rules don't matter to him, he does also keep signaling that he doesn't want to face off with her. Is the debate going to happen?
I think so, Katie, but I think, this debate over debates tells you a few things about where we are in this campaign. First, it tells you about the difference at the top of the ticket on the Democratic side, because remember, it was the Biden campaign that originally successfully dictated the terms of these two debates when they proposed them in May. First, having no audience, and second, having a mute button that the candidates wouldn't be speaking when the other candidate was talking. Kamala Harris, the vice president, of course, her team thinks that this is to their advantage, that the more Donald Trump is heard from, the better it is for them. They think that he has the potential to step in it, perhaps, by continuing the insults that he's been waging in interviews and in campaign events, but before a much bigger national audience, including a lot of swing voters. So you see Brian Fallon, a spokesperson for the Harris campaign, saying in a statement that Donald Trump shouldn't be hiding behind the mute button. We've seen since then, in a tweet from Fallon, Ellen, that based on Trump's comments today, they think this is all a done deal, that this is now set, Trump indicating that he would be open to that, not having that mute button anymore. Now, the Trump campaign, for its part, is accusing Harris of imposing her own wishes for new rules, including to be seated, to have opening statements, all part of a pattern, they say, of her not agreeing to take tough questions in interviews. But you just saw Fallon's statement there. They think that this is a go at this point.
I think
So Harris doesn't want to debate because she knows she's bad at this. Her handlers know that she's bad at it, but they believe that strategically they need to debate and they need to answer some questions. But I really don't think they need to, because a lot of these people, most of these people, are going to vote for Harris regardless. Whether she gave a sit-down interview, whether she debated, if she didn't do it, it doesn't matter. A lot of these people who cry about her not debating, cry about her not giving interviews, have already pledged fealty to her and going to vote for her anyway. So I don't think she actually needs to debate, and she probably shouldn't do it, but she's going to do it. So in preparation for this debate, Trump has brought in and partnered with Kamala Harris's worst nightmare.
Debate prep specialist and former 2020 presidential candidate, Tulsi Gabbard. All right, so Tulsi, you really zeroed in on Kamala Harris. What was it about Kamala that opened you up for that kind of attack?
Really, Jesse, it was exposing her for her hypocrisy. She is a typical politician who will say one thing and do another. Rules for thee, but not for me. And that's a reflection of exactly how she is going through this debate prep. She's got her pollsters surrounding her. They're telling her word for word exactly the things that she needs to say, the lines she needs to memorize so that she can act and put on a big show in this debate. And it's such a huge contrast. You saw once she was confronted and challenged a little bit on her hypocrisy, she didn't respond very well. And I think that points to the big contrast that the American people will see in this upcoming debate. President Trump is real. He is not a politician by any means. I don't think we want another typical politician who is choosing their every word very carefully. He's a real person, a strong leader, a strong debater who has strong views on issues. And you don't have to guess where he stands on those issues, and you don't have to guess about what he will do, because he's got 4 years of a record to stand on of success.
So that's what happened with Biden. They spent a week at Camp David pumping him full of memorized lines in between lasagna runs, and he couldn't keep it together. He couldn't memorize it, and then he couldn't deliver it, and he fell apart. Trump just boom, boom, fell apart. You're saying Kamala Harris is similar? They're basically phony hypocrites who have to memorize things in order to get by because they can't be honest with what they believe. So Trump just has to come out, as you did, hit her square between the eyes, and she crumbles?
Yeah, President Trump has shown through 2016, 2020, 2024 with his debate with Joe Biden, he's a phenomenal debater. He knows his record. He knows the issues. If I can be helpful anywhere, it is sharing the tricks that Kamala Harris will try to use to lie to the American people and try to make them forget what her true radical record is. We just saw she laid out her big economic plan, and it was a very memorized speech. The moment she was challenged by a reporter, she said, "It's a mistake for you to ask me what it costs. Don't ask me what this is going to cost." This is what we will see more of from Kamala Harris.
I bet Kamala gets flashbacks of 2019 when she got annihilated, when she got that knockout blow. Speaking of a knockout blow, how Trump knocked out Biden. Tulsi did that to Harris, and now Harris and Trump are working together. He should have Tulsi sitting on the front row, so if Harris glances over there, she's going to get some type of flashback, might pass out on the stage or something. But the Bias Network, man, I'm going to show you and explain to you why I don't think that this debate is going to go the same way that the Trump versus Biden debate went with CNN. The reason why is because, first of all, they learned their lessons. CNN got a lot of backlash for being unbiased and neutral. They were supposed to be extremely biased during that debate, but they weren't. So the left-wing media, ABC News, they're going to run interference. First of all, let's go back to 2020 and look at Mike Pence versus Harris. The fly debate. We all remember that. Mike Pence, get the goddamn fly off your head. But let's take a look at a couple of clips of this debate.
Not sit here and be lectured by the vice president on what it means to enforce the laws of our country. And the reality of this is that we are talking about an election in 27 days, where last week the President of the United States took a debate stage in front of 70 million Americans and refused to condemn white supremacists.
Senator Harris?
Well, I mean, I thought we saw enough of it in last week's debate, but I think this is supposed to be a debate based on fact and truth. And the truth and the fact is, Joe Biden has been very clear. He will not raise taxes on anybody who makes less than $400,000 a year.
He said he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
Well,
I'm speaking.
It'd be important if you said the truth. Joe Biden said twice in the debate last week that he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts. $2,000 in a tax break every single year. Senator,
that is
that's the math.
absolutely not true. That
Is he only going to repeal part of the Trump tax cuts?
If you don't mind letting me finish, we can then have a conversation, okay?
Please.
Okay. Joe Biden will not raise taxes on anyone who makes less than $400,000 a year. He has been very clear about that.
He was getting backlash from the left. Oh, he's mansplaining. Why is he rude? She kept saying, oh, I'm speaking, trying to be the tough woman in the man suit and all that. And the media gave her all these glowing praises, even though she was outright lying. The media showered her with praise. Oh, Mike Pence, he was such a chauvinist, but Kamala stood up to him and she said, I'm speaking. Didn't mention the part that she lied her way through the debate. So that's going to happen. She's going to try to act tough, and the media is going to pretend. The media is going to push the propaganda that she was some tough woman. She defeated Trump. Trump was nervous. He was mansplaining, stuff like that. And worse, let's go back to 2020, to the Chris Wallace, the Fox News debate between Biden and Trump. People were thinking, oh, we got a guy from Fox News. This is good, man. This is going to give us some neutrality. Chris Wallace was one of the worst moderators ever. This guy spent the entire debate running interference, protecting Joe Biden. Trump was debating Chris Wallace more than he was debating Biden. And he even said 2-on-1. But let's look at a couple of clips of what happened back then.
We criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
are you
I'm
prepared
willing
to
do
specifically
that, but
do it? Well, go ahead, sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it. Do you want to call them? What do you want to call them? Give me a name. Give me a
white
name.
Supremacists and
white like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud Boys. Stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing. This is a left-wing problem.
White supremacists. Antifa.
We got a lot to unpack here, gentlemen. We got a lot of time. So on health care, and then we'll come back to Roe v. Wade.
All right.
Mr. President, the Supreme Court will hear a case a week after the election in which the Trump administration, along with 18 state attorneys general, are seeking to overturn Obamacare, to end Obamacare. You have spent the last...
Because they want to give good health care.
If I may ask my question, sir.
Good health care.
Over the last 4 years, you have promised to repeal and replace Obamacare, but you have never in these 4 years come up with a plan, a comprehensive plan to replace Obamacare.
Of course I have.
Well,
I got rid of the individual mandate.
I'm going to give you an opportunity.
I got rid of the individual mandate, which was a big chunk of Obamacare. That is absolutely a big thing. That was the worst part of Obamacare.
Sir,
Chris, that was the worst part of Obamacare.
Let me ask my question.
Well, I'll ask Joe. The individual mandate was the most unpopular aspect of Obamacare. I got rid of it.
I'd like you
and we will protect people with
President, I'm the
pre-existing
moderator of this
conditions.
debate, and I would like you to let me ask my question, and then you can answer your question. You, in the course of these 4 years, have never come up with a comprehensive plan to replace Obamacare. And just this last Thursday, you signed a largely symbolic executive order to protect people with pre-existing conditions 5 days before this debate. So my question, sir, is what is the Trump health care plan.
Well, first of all, I guess I'm debating you, not him, but that's okay. I'm not surprised.
On head-to-head with Putin and made it clear to him we're not going to take any of his stuff. He's Putin's puppy. He still refuses to even say anything to Putin about the bounty on the heads of American soldiers.
Your son got $3.5 million.
And by the way, my son...
Wait a minute. Mr. President, your campaign agreed to both sides would get 2-minute answers uninterrupted. Well, your side agreed to it, and why don't you observe what your campaign agreed to as a ground rule, okay, sir?
He never keeps his word. Can you add back
no, I'm not asking. That was a rhetorical question.
Can you
Go
add
ahead,
back
sir.
30 seconds?
Yes,
okay.
you may have.
All right.
Go ahead.
This is what's going to happen in this debate. We're going to have an extremely biased media. The propagandists are going to run interference during the debate to protect Kamala because she's trash. They already have a plan. They're not going to have a repeat of what happened with Joe and Trump. And I actually said at the time that Joe Biden was set up. His handlers threw him to the wolves in order to get him knocked out of the election. But they're not going to do it this time. They're going to shower her with praises no matter how the debate goes, whether she lies, she stumbles and falls, she passes out, whether she starts doing that cackling laugh, whether she's trying to be some manly woman. I'm speaking, don't interrupt me. No matter what happens, if she insults Trump, they're going to shower her with praises, say Trump was terrible, he was trash, and Kamala won the debate. It's already set. And the media, the left-wing biased ass moderators from ABC are going to run interference. So I don't know if it's going to really make a massive difference. The good part of this is, the silver lining is that Trump has been dealing with an extremely hostile, biased media for almost 10 years now, since 2015. That's the problem with the Democrats. They're used to softball interviews and the media being on their side. That's why they completely collapse when they face any type of pressure. But Trump has been sharpened for this, man. He's been groomed for this. For over 9 years, this man has been dealing with hostility from the Democrats and from the left-wing media. So even if they try to gang up on him during the debate, which is what I think is going to happen, even if they try to gang up on him, I believe that Trump can hold his own. And a lot of people are going to see through it. But we're going to have millions of people who are going to be falling into this, into the propaganda, and showering Kamala with praises, saying that she won a debate. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, I believe that there should be several debates, and not these old school mainstream left-wing media type debates. I believe that they should do podcast style debates, sit at a table, have a long form conversation. They can do it on Spaces. You can get on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, something like that, and just talk for an hour, talk for 3 hours. Will Kamala do something like that? Hell no. But I think the public would be better for it. They would get a better gauge of where the candidates stand and how they react under pressure. Because Kamala, she can't even handle Trump, man. She can't handle a basic interview. I'm going to get to that in another video. Even her interview with the left-wing media has to be edited and softball. She can't even handle that. So how is she going to handle quote-unquote enemies like Xi Jinping and Putin? But let me know what you guys think. Leave me your thoughts below. Share the video. Thanks for watching.